Welcome to Teal House Farm.
All right, welcome to Teal House Farm. And today we're going to talk about some of the dumbest homestead designs we have made on our farm. And then we're going to get around to fixing them. So hopefully you can learn a little bit from our mistakes. And if you ever are starting your own homestead, you can make some smarter choices about where things go. Let's take a little review of our top 3 design flaws. We built this amazing chicken brooder, but we put it at the bottom of a really steep hill. So in the winter, checking for eggs is pretty treacherous. And in the spring, if it rains a lot, it floods. Excellent build. Sam built an awesome chick brooder and chicken coop, but we put it in the wrong location. We also put our goat pen with our male goat right next to the laundry line.
Mom, where's my pajama shirt?
In the laundry basket. We also thought that it would make sense to put the garden where the previous owners of the farm had put it, which is over there, just on the other side of that white fence. But that logic depends on the fact that we're planning that the people before us actually had sense where they put the garden, which they didn't. It is so far from the water source that even with a double hose, it's impossible to water it with the hose. The garden needs to be closer to the house. But today we are going to fix some of those problems. Well, actually we're going to work on fixing some of those problems. I've been working on them already the last week, and we're going to try to finish one of them up today, and that is moving a large part of our garden. We're going to deconstruct our container garden and get everything pulled out so that we can start returning that to regular grass so that we can move our garden somewhere that makes a lot more sense. This hot mess over here in front of the white fence was my container garden. I'd give the container garden attempt about a 50% success rate. Things that went well: growing potatoes in tires went very well. I got some beautiful potatoes. They also were extremely easy to harvest. I just flipped the tire layers over and pop, there were my potatoes. Also growing zucchini and cucumbers in tires, using tires as raised planters, worked great. I got some great looking fruit and vegetables off those plants, but the other things did not go well. I tried growing some herbs in pots, I tried growing some cucamelons in pots, tried growing some watermelon in pots. Didn't work at all. Tried growing garlic in bags, and I think that would have worked okay, but the cats loved the bags and kept dumping them or digging them out, and so the garlic didn't do quite as well as it should have. The biggest challenge in the container garden was because of the smaller size of containers and them being raised up off the ground, is that everything dried out so fast. You had to water your plants twice a day or they died. And that is hard to do if you're already really busy or if you're gone for the day and it's a hot day. So that was a challenge. I think overall, I will definitely do potatoes and tires again next year because it worked so well. But that might be about all I do in this container style garden. So we're going to go ahead and tear this down. It is also right next to this utility pole, which is another problem. You can't have the garden here. If the utility company ever needs to come work on this pole, they're going to be all over your garden space. Another reason this is all moving. So I've already started. Yesterday I came out and I moved all the tires. I rolled them back behind the white fence so they're out of sight until next year. And I salvaged a lot of the potting soil that was in the tires to revitalize for next year, so that's been saved. So now we need to go through and pull the pallets out, the T-posts, the rest of the fence, and mow everything down so that it starts to look like grass again. The other major problem with the container garden, I wanted to use it because I thought it would be less weeding, which should be true in theory, but my theory didn't work at all. I used cardboard and then straw on top as a weed barrier, and it worked great for about a month and a half. And then we had several days of just drenching rain, and it broke down that cardboard and that straw so fast, and now it looks like a jungle over here. So if you're gonna do a container garden, put it on concrete or use a plastic weed barrier with straw or something on top, because the cardboard composted, disintegrated so fast that by the end of the gardening season, it just looks terrible. Okay, we got the tarp pulled back. We got all of the tires moved out. Got the pallets moved out and stacked over there. Sam can use them for stacking more wood, because we have all that wood down there that he's going to split. Needs a place to put it anyway. I can't pull the T-posts out myself. I gave myself the stupidest injury the other day. I was literally walking to the car and I slipped on the wet grass and really jammed up my wrist. And so I just can't pull hard enough to pull those out right now. So I wish I had an epic story to tell you, like rescued my kids from a ferocious rooster, or, you know, fought off a mountain lion with my bare hands, but nope. I was walking to the car, grass was wet, down I went, and that was the end of the story. So Sam, he has a puller tool somewhere, but I don't know where it is, so he's gonna come help me with that, and then just mow it down. That's it. Not doing this again. It was incredibly labor intensive to set up, and like I said, other than the few things that did really well, most of it was a waste of time. So gonna do the potato tires again, maybe another zucchini in the raised tire bed, but nothing else, because it got to looking terrible. It was so hard to set up. It needed so much water. The main garden was much better with the straw to keep the moisture in. So lesson learned. You don't know unless you try, right? So let's go inside. I'm going to print off a map of our property, and I'm going to just kind of show you where everything is now and where we're going to move it to help make the property setup as a homestead work a lot better and get rid of some of these nonsense decisions that we made. So here we are, Teal House Farm aerial view. Now this is a little bit of an old picture. A lot of these trees have been cleared out around the house, which is here in the center of the property. We also own quite a bit more land over there. There's a little bit more down out of the picture, and then more up there also out of the picture. But this is the basic view. The current garden is back here, way in the back. This presents a problem because, one, the hose is way up here, and two, it is at the edge of the forest, and so when the sun moves from the right of your picture over to the left, the house faces due south, the second half of the day the garden gets quite shady in the back, and that means a large percentage of the garden really isn't good for growing anything other than lettuces, because it just does not get enough sunlight. The greenhouses are right here, and that works out pretty well, but my goal is to leave them here for spring and winter, allow the ground underneath them to get some good composting from the newspaper and straw that is used for the floor of the greenhouses, and then pull them back, leaving some really nice dirt and a clearing that will be the start of our new garden location here. The tree that you see pictured right where that rectangle is has been gone a very long time. So this is a nice flat clear spot. It is also closer to the hose and close enough that I know the hose can easily reach in order to water the garden. Sam has been wanting for years to put a raised bed garden here in the front of the property. it would be something that was designed to be visually appealing. The first couple years he was really gung-ho about it. I wasn't so sure. I didn't know if I wanted a garden right in front of the house, but the more we talked about adding a hedge along the row, and then how close this location is to the hose and how bright and sunny it is really is the best location. It is also one of the only other areas on our farm that is completely flat. One of our biggest challenges in choosing a garden spot is that a lot of our farm is very hilly and really up the side of what turns into a bluff, and so you're really limited on flat land. The large chicken coop and brooder is currently down here at the bottom of that big hill. There's really not much we can do about that right now. This is a good location for the chickens. It's just the wrong spot for the brooder. It needs to be pulled forward, maybe 50 feet or 100 feet to get it out from the lowest spot. But that would take a tractor or completely dismantling it and rebuilding it, neither of which are a good option right now. So it's going to have to stay, and we'll just deal with the slippery slope. The goats are back here, which is a pretty good location for them, just too close to my laundry line, but much easier for me to move my line than it is to move an entire goat paddock. So I'm going to look at turning the line so it no longer goes vertically up the picture from the house to the goat pen, but goes horizontally from the house to maybe some trees closer to the chicken coop. As far as future projects go, looking to add some cows and some pigs, probably in these locations in our larger field. I was trying to convince Sam to go ahead and start with the cows over this winter, but he felt that we already had enough projects going on, and he's probably right. And the final project is to move the kids' play area to this location close to the garden. Right now the play area is over close to the chicken coop, which presents several problems. One, I can't see it easily from any of my garden locations. Two, it's not easily accessible from the house. You have to run all the way around the house to get from the kitchen to the play area. And three, it blocks the only really good transport line from the driveway to the barn. So if we need to drive the truck to the back of the house, the play area is in the way. It just wasn't well thought up when we put it up there. We put it up before we moved into the house and thought about these sort of problems, so it needs to be moved. I've already started moving some of the things over. Just the girls' big swing set is still left to be moved to that blue circle area, and I hope to be able to do that over the winter. Well, that's all we have for you today. Thanks so much for watching and listening. We will see you again really soon.